Hey there, how's it going? My name is Greg. This is Dad Rockin' Guitars. Hope you're doing well. And today I'm going to share with you the rarest guitar that I own. Now, this guitar is several years old, 25 or so, and I have never seen another one in person or for sale online on Reverb or eBay or anything like that. Doesn't mean there haven't been, but I check every now and then just out of curiosity, and I've never seen one. Not only that, but I can only find a few photos, like 3 or 4 online of this particular guitar anywhere. So to me, it seems like an incredibly rare guitar, and let's talk about it. So this rare guitar is not highly sought after like, a 50s Telecaster or Les Paul or anything like that, right? But it was highly sought after by me as a college student. We're back in like 1997, 98, flipping through catalogs, Musician's Friend or manufacturer catalogs. Remember, this is before internet as we know it. It existed, but it wasn't like it is today. And online music stores and stuff, definitely not like it is today. So we looked through the catalogs and I saw it and it's like, man, that is such a cool guitar. I have got to get me one of those. That's like a dream guitar right there. Now the problem was none of the stores around me that I could go to, none of them carried it. And even if they did, I was a broke college student, so I probably couldn't have afforded it anyways. Fast forward 6-7 years, looking 2004, 2005, I'm at work on lunch break with my coworker and we walk into a music store and boom, there it is, hanging on the wall, front of the store and everything, used for $300, and I'd never seen one in real life before, and so I just had to get it. So I still didn't have much money at that time, but I put it on layaway. The younger viewers, Google what is layaway, right? Because you can't do that anymore. But I put it on layaway, and 20 years later, I still have that dream guitar from college. So what is this apparently super rare, hard to find dream guitar of mine? It's the Ibanez Talman TC420LH. So if you're familiar with the Ibanez lineup more currently these days, and if you've heard of the Talman name, it gets used for their acoustic guitars and some of their basses and stuff like that. But originally, the Talman was the electric guitar like this one, and it was only made from 1994 to 1998, and then they stopped. And apparently this was Ibanez's way of trying to tap in to that grunge, indie, alternative rock kind of scene that was going on mid-late 90s. They were more known for their pointy, shredder, heavy guitars. I think of Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, I think of Korn and their 7 strings from back then, and all those kinds of things, the RGs, that kind of stuff. So this was definitely a bit of a different thing for Ibanez. Now, if we take a look at this, you can definitely tell they're pulling some inspiration from some classic guitars offset from Fender or other similar brands. There's definitely a bit of Jazzmaster going on there, maybe a little Mustang. There's also some Strat going on, and also some Telecaster stuff going on. They kind of took all those things and made it its own unique shape that was, new, but also kind of felt very familiar and retro at the same time. Now, I never associated this kind of take on a guitar with like any kind of genre or band or artist, anything like that. But the things I really liked about this, again, was just that new but retro thing. But man, this color just totally grabbed me. And this pick guard, it just kind of really sets it off and gives a very classy look and all that kind of stuff. And then also it had humbuckers. And at that time, I'd only played single coils. So the humbucker thing was definitely interesting to me as well. All that to say, I thought this was a fantastic looking guitar, and I still do. In fact, I've played this out at gigs, and when I do, man, I get all kinds of compliments, questions, all that kind of stuff, because people aren't really quite sure what it is, and so it definitely gets a lot of attention. So while the Ibanez, this original line, was only made from 94 to 98, Ibanez actually made quite a few different versions of this each year. They had a bunch of different colors, different pick guards and stuff like that, but they also had a lot of different pickup options. They had everything from lipstick style, which is probably the ones they made the most of, but they also had mini humbuckers, P90s, and actual full-size humbuckers like the one I have. And then they had some that were kind of a combination of several different pickups. So lots of different things going on there. And they also made them out of different kinds of wood. So some are made out of alder, some are made out of basswood. Some, especially the early ones, were made out of a wood called resin cast. If you've never heard of resin cast, it's basically sawdust and glue, but resin cast sounds cooler. And they did make one model out of ash and one out of mahogany and stuff like that, but alder, basswood, and resin cast were by far the most popular woods they used. Also, in those short few years, they actually had a couple different signature models. The guitar player for the Offspring Noodles had a signature guitar that ran into the 2000s, and then also, believe it or not, Paul Gilbert had a signature model there as well. And actually today, right now, you can go buy a Yvette Young signature model, which is a Talman. I haven't really seen it advertised as a Talman, but that's what it is. You can go to Sweetwater or whatever at the time of this video, and you can actually buy one. And there was actually kind of a brief reintroduction of the Talman guitar. Ibanez released it as a Made in Japan Prestige series. And so they did do that for a few years from 2015 to 2017 as well. All right, so what makes this particular guitar so rare? Well, to be fair, part of the rarity is built in the fact that it's left-handed, right? We already know that there are way more right-handed guitars bought and sold and made these days than left-handed guitars, but that was even more true back in the mid and late 90s. Lefties were really hard to come by. So the fact that this is left-handed already makes it kind of a rare thing. Not only that, but remember I said that the original Talmans were made from 1994 to 1998, but that was the right-handed Talmans. The left-handed version was only made for 1 year, 1998. That year they actually ended up shutting down the line. So how many left-handed ones were made? I have no idea. And was this the only left-handed model and color they made? I don't know. I'm not sure, to be honest. But I can't imagine they made very many in that 1 year. And then also, here we are 25 or so years later, and how many of these are actually left that haven't been broken or tossed out or whatever, lost along the way, right? I have no idea. Again, this is the only one I've ever seen, you know, in person or for sale or anything like that. You can find right-handed versions on Reverb and eBay. There's not a ton of them out there, but there are some out there. But lefties, I haven't seen one. So if you actually have a left-handed Talman from the late 90s, or you know someone who does, let me know in the comments down below, because I would just like to know how many more there are out there, because it just seems like there just aren't many. All right, so now that we've kind of talked about the history and all that kind of stuff of the Ibanez Talman guitars, let's go ahead and talk about the specs, particularly of this one, because like I said, they had quite a few different versions out there. But this is the one I have, and this is the one we're going to talk about. So this is a made in Korea guitar, and is actually built in December of 97. I'm sure to be sold in 98 as a 98 model, but the serial number checks out as December of 1997. As far as the body, this is not resin cast. Fortunately, this is actually basswood, and it has this cool, again, dark green sparkle finish on it as well. Usually see it referred to as Mediterranean green, sometimes as metallic green. And also with this body being offset and stuff like that, it's very comfortable to play. Also, it has these nice rounded edges here, and then it's got the comfort, you know, for the arm right here, and it's got actual kind of belly cut on the back and stuff like that. So as far as the body shape and everything, it is a very comfortable guitar to play. The pick guard, again, for me, is kind of what really makes it, give it that classy vibe on it. And so it's a 3-piece pearloid. It's a black-white pearloid layered pick guard, and I just think that looks super cool. Looking at the neck, it is a bolt-on neck, and it is a one-piece maple as well. And it's kind of got, you know, basically a satin finish on the back, and it's got this vintage tint as well, which I think, again, adds to that kind of retro vibe and stuff like that. I think it looks really good on this guitar. And looking at the headstock, I think it's just got a really cool, unique headstock. I think they did a really good job with that. Obviously 3 on the side for the tuners. The tuners don't have any kind of branding or anything on them. They're kind of just no brand tuners, but they work fine. Looking at the fretboard, it is a rosewood fretboard, which is really nice. I like rosewood fretboards, like the way they feel, like the way they look, all that kind of stuff. So definite bonus for me. Obviously dot inlays. We have 22 frets on here, and also it is a 25.5-inch scale. Looking at the nut, it is apparently a graphite nut by spec. It's black, so I'm sure it's not bone. But it could be plastic, but it could be graphite. Either way, I've had 0 issues out of it, and it's worked flawlessly for tuning and all that kind of stuff. All right, as far as tone controls, we get on here and we have a standard kind of Telecaster setup here. We have a master tone and master volume controls and a 3-way switch. Now these tone controls, actually, they're very smooth, nice and easy with just the right amount of resistance to turn, and they turn the right way for a lefty. That doesn't always happen on more budget guitars. Sometimes they use right-handed tone controls or whatever, and so all your tones spin the wrong way. Really confusing, but these go the right way, and they're nice and smooth. And then of course we have our output jack here, which is kind of cool, going for that retro vibe, kind of Strat-like, but also kind of like 50s, 60s automobile kind of thing going on there too. So that's kind of cool. And of course in the bridge, we have a tremolo bridge here, very Strat style kind of bridge. I'm not a fan of tremolos at all. Don't use them, don't like them, don't need them, that kind of stuff. So I just have it blocked off. I've always kept it blocked off, but it did come with a trem arm and all that kind of stuff. Now onto the pickups. This is like the only modification I've made to this guitar, other than I put strap lock buttons on it. Originally this came with the Ibanez Power Sound humbuckers. I didn't particularly like them a whole lot and ended up swapping them out. A few years ago I put Seymour Duncan Fat Cats in here so I could get kind of more of a P90 sound out of it, partly because I didn't have that sound. I have humbuckers, I have single coils. Wanted something more P90 without buying another guitar, and I thought P90-ish sounds would actually work well with the vibe of this guitar, and so that's what I have in here. And as far as weight, this comes in right at 8 pounds and 1 ounce, which all my guitars seem to be right around 8 pounds. So this fits in nicely with my other guitars. All right, so now that I've had this guitar all these years and all that, and it being a dream guitar at one point, what do I think of it as far as playability? This is not my favorite playing guitar, not even close. I think it comes down to a couple different things. Mainly, it's an Ibanez, and nothing against Ibanez, it's just that I don't think I like most Ibanez necks. I had an S470L also for a while, and it had the wizard neck, and that was super thin, and I just couldn't get along with that one. And then this one is fairly thin, but also up here at the nut is really narrow. These strings feel really close together, and I feel like they really scrunch my fingers in there to get them. So I just don't like the way that feels in general. I prefer a bigger neck, a thicker neck, wider neck, all that kind of stuff. The other thing about this is that it's got this knob right here for the volume is just in the way. I'm a big, especially this kind of stuff, I'm strumming big and hard like this, and I hit that all the time. This is kind of like some of the reasons why me and Strats don't always get along. That thing right there is in the way for me, and so that I don't particularly like. But like I said, I use it a lot for double tracking rock stuff with my Les Paul, because I got these Fat Cats in here, and that works really great. Play the same part, pan them hard left, hard right. Sounds nice, big and wide and all that kind of stuff. And also it's just, you know, it's got a whole nother vibe to it and a whole different feel of playing. Even though I don't particularly like the way it feels, it definitely has a different feel, makes me play a little differently, that kind of stuff. I'm definitely holding on to it, not going to sell it, partly because sentimental value, partly because the rarity of it, and then also partly just because I probably wouldn't get a ton of money for it anyway, so I might as well just keep it and use it as a tool for recording. And It takes really great photos. Looks awesome in photos. Anyway, so that's it for my rarest guitar that I own. Let me know in the comments down below what your rarest guitar that you own is, or if you own a Talman, right or left-handed, let me know that in the comments down below as well. Check out the description. All kinds of cool stuff down there for guitar lessons, writing your own songs, recording your own songs in a home studio. If you're interested in those things, make sure you check that out. Hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.